Hey everybody, big welcome to you guys. Thanks for joining us for our second video podcast of We Are Southlands. I am Daniel Chung. I'm joined with my co-host Alan Frau, as well as some of our special guests, Kevin and Shannon Misch.
From Whittier.
From Whittier, yeah.
Baby.
So, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you guys so much for all the positive feedback that we've been getting from the first episode. It's been amazing. Thank you for subscribing. Please continue to do that. Share it in social media. Share it with other people in our community. I think God's doing amazing things here, and we need to make much of it. So, so welcome, guys.
Thank you.
I wanted to just say that this podcast is really kind of a look at our past history, a look at what's going on in our local churches, and what God is doing in that context now, and then also just a look into the future and just kind of pondering what God will be doing with us. Today we have a unique thing in the sense that we have a special surprise guest.
Can't wait.
So that's going to be super exciting, if you could tell.
Yes. Super excited. Of suspense.
Yes, clearly. So anyway, our special guests come from the city of Whittier, and they have brought some local fare to share with us.
Yeah.
Kevin, Shannon, what do we got?
Thanks, guys.
What do we got?
So we have some coffee from a local boutique store in Uptown Whittier called Local Fixture. It's not only a boutique store, but it also serves great coffee. So if you're ever in Uptown and you want to shop at a local business, shop at Local Fixture and grab a cup of coffee.
Local Fixture?
Yes.
Where's it located?
It is located off of Bright Street, and if you're familiar with Uptown, it's right next to Disciple Church. So,
Wow, Joaquin. You guys are great locals, I must say. You do incredible, intentional hanging out with people in your great city. It's awesome. So it's great to enjoy some of that fare.
we love the city that we live in and have really tried to support local businesses and interact with the local community.
Got anything to eat?
I do.
Gosh.
Seriously.
Seriously.
There's also a
That's really
local
good.
bakery in Uptown as well, off of Greenleaf, called
What you got?
La Monarca Bakery. And
Panaderia.
if you're say that again.
Panaderia.
Wow.
Is that right?
You know
A
what?
few croissants here.
Croissant. Get it right.
Yeah, croissant.
That you say.
International guy.
That you say flawlessly.
Croissant. Spent a lot of time in France. So this is part of our podcast.
Right.
Podcast is just loving our cities,
Yeah.
celebrating what's great about them. And so every guest we have on the show, we ask them to bring some local fare.
Thank you.
So that they can give a shout out to local business. We absolutely love supporting local business and celebrating all the good stuff in our cities as we live and love in
Yeah,
our
this
cities.
is Alan's favorite part of
It
the
is,
podcast.
it is. That's what I'm really proud about. Do you mind if I dunk the croissant?
No.
Is that all right?
Feel free.
My wife will not be impressed because I'm supposed to be no sugar. But just for the sake of the vodcast, I'll suspend my no sugar.
Yeah,
right?
such a
Take
martyr.
one for the team,
one for
Frau.
the team.
Yeah.
You are.
That was good.
Yes. So today's episode is titled "Tattoos and Tattoos, Stories, and Mission." And today we're going to just kind of use tattoos as a framework to kind of highlight some of the things God is doing inside of our church. And so Kevin and Shannon are here to share a little bit about that, since as you can tell, they are lovely Lee. That's not a word.
That's okay.
Tattooed and obviously a big part of your guys' expression and your story. I'm excited to hear about it. As I kind of glance over, I don't have any tattoos.
You don't have a beard either.
No. Thanks for bringing that back up. That's cool. I feel like I grew up in a kind of conservative background, and tattoos were actually something that ranked up there with getting like B minuses in school.
Yes.
Terrible.
Terrible.
Like only garbage people are involved in tattoos. Obviously, Things have really shifted culturally, but more than just understanding it from a cultural perspective, I would love it if maybe Mr. Frau here could go into some of the theology and what the Bible has to say about tattoos. What do you say, Alan?
Great. Briefly, like you say, Dan, it used to be an expression of edginess, even rebellion. Bikers, sailors, gang members, and that might still be the case, but certainly in the last 10 years or so, it's shifted where it's kind of common. Every high street has a tattoo shop, and it's even in corporate, in the corporate world, it's not necessarily frowned upon in the same way that it was. And so, there's been a shift in culture. I still think as Christians, we need to be going like, well, how do we navigate? How do we thread the needle?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think many Christians do struggle for this reason, that there's this little verse in Leviticus 19:28 where God is giving the people of God a list of do's and don'ts that will separate them as a called out holy people, and one of them is you shall not cut your flesh and make tattoos. And so people kind of hang on to that, and I get that, but if you apply everything in that passage, the verse before is you shall not cut the side of your beard. The verse after is you shall not mix cotton and wool in the same garment. You shall not mix meat and milk. So kind of you can't have a cheeseburger if you're not going to have a tattoo. And so it's important that we don't just apply that wholesale through the cross. Some of those things continue. So in that list, it's like you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, but some of those things are actually left. And so I believe it's an issue of conscience, where the Apostle Paul says everything is permissible, not everything is profitable. And so we need to ask for ourselves, is this profitable? Still, as I travel, there are some areas that like it's really difficult to minister the gospel if you've got a tattoo. I remember going to Dubai and Qatar with a drummer that just had all sleeves, and he had to wear like a jacket because it was just frowned upon. So I think we've got to ask those questions. I'll say one other thing, and that's that we need, even if we go like, no, this is fine, and I do believe it's fine. I've got tattoos. My son's got tattoos. I love that. But we need to think like, man, let's be wise, because I'm going to have this forever, unless I'm going to cover it up. And also, let's not be legalistic, but let's not be mystic about it. Because I think sometimes people go like, if I put, I've got a wedding ring here. Like if I put a tattooed wedding ring, that assures me that I'm going to be faithful to my wife until the day. I'm telling you, there's no power in this to keep me faithful. I need to lean on Jesus, not this.
That's good.
And so let's not be legalistic. Let's not be mystical either.
right.
And let's find conscience.
Man,
right?
I feel so set free by that biblical. I'm going to actually take off my jacket because it's a little warm.
Was this the surprise guest? I think this was the surprise guest. That is ridiculous.
What is that?
Ooh, sorry. Gotta just.
Your tattoo just
What
slipped.
is going on?
Just ran up your arm.
Well,
I'm glad you've been set free.
yeah.
That's
Thanks,
fantastic.
Kev. I appreciate that, man.
Well done, Dan.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well played.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well
so,
played.
I don't have any regrets for my life, but Kev, Shannon, I wonder if, as you look at your tattoos, is there one or two maybe that you have some, no regrets, some regrets about?
Yeah, so the very first tattoo I ever got, I was still in high school when I got it.
Smart decisions.
And I went down to the Pike in Long Beach and looked at the wall, and I was just like, well, that one looks cool. And at the time, in the mid 80s, maybe it was cool, but not so much anymore. And the first tattoo I ever got was a wizard. And it was just the kind of face of a wizard with his hat and holding a fireball. And
Wizard holding a ball.
a wizard holding a fireball. And the people who know this story tease me, and they now call me the Wizard of Whittier.
That's right.
But that tattoo has been covered up. It was covered up long ago.
Thank the Lord for that.
Yes.
Shan.
Well, if you ask me, I have a 1A and a 1B.
Wow.
So my 1A would be, I just thought after having my first child, it would be great to have a dagger coming out of my backside with a sash wrapped around it that had her name on it. And I just thought I was the coolest cat. And then when I have my other child, I go to get their names. And the tattoo artist at that time says, you probably want to get that dagger covered up. It looks pretty ghetto.
Ooh.
So that is probably 1A regret.
The moral of the story is like, think long term.
Oh,
like,
you
how are
have
you
to
going to
think
feel
it-
about this thing in 20 years'
Yes,
time?
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I
Skin's
would.
begun to sag.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I
Yes.
thought I would always love wizards. That wasn't the case.
Fair enough.
All right,
Fair
Gandalf.
enough.
That's
Yes.
good. That's good. Well, that was 1A. Are we not going to go to 1B?
1B would be my name. And I just always
Nice.
thought that, yeah.
You
I
might
thought,
forget what your name was.
no,
Yeah.
it wasn't that. It was
Okay.
out of the 4 kids, out of my siblings, I had the best name.
Okay.
So I tatted it on me. So yes, that would be 1B. Because now that I had Caesareans, it doesn't say Shannon Mish anymore, or Shannon Renee. It says like sugar. It doesn't.
See, the Caesarean cut right through it.
Right through
and,
it.
You know, he couldn't sew it up perfectly, so it was like
gosh.
Sure.
gibberish.
Yes.
Yes.
Like when the printer smudges.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a printer
So
smudge.
please look at all.
Think hard. Think
Think
long.
hard.
Yes.
Maybe it's kanji. You know.
Maybe.
Or barbed wire.
Yeah, barbed wire.
Don't do the barbed wire.
No.
Oh gosh, that's good. Well, you know, actually, you guys have some pretty cool looking tattoos. I noticed that both of you guys are rocking an eagle. I'm assuming that was like a 2-for-1 special or something, or
It wasn't a 2-for-1 special. You don't get that very often
yeah.
at tattoo shops.
What is the significance behind those tattoos? Why do you guys both carry it?
So 2 years ago, my wife went through a very traumatic incident at her workplace, and through that battled some PTSD and some depression.
Wow.
And really had a difficult year just trying to navigate our way through that. But we felt as we came out of 2017, we really were renewed and we were strengthened. And then coming into 2018, us as a church, one of our battle cries for 2018 was Isaiah 40. And so the reason we got the Eagles was because out of a few verses out of Isaiah 40. And if you don't mind, can I just read those verses?
I mind, but you may.
Okay, thank you. I was going to do it anyway, whether you mind it or not.
Preacher.
Yeah.
Can't tell
And-
him not to open his Bible.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Isaiah 40.
my Bible.
This is my Bible, and I'm going to preach out of it.
Yeah.
Isaiah 40, 28 through 31 says this: Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the whole earth. He never becomes faint or weary. There is no limit to his understanding. He gives strength to the faint and strengthens the powerless. Youths may become faint and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not become weary. They will walk and not faint. And so this verse 31, talking about soaring on wings like eagles. We really wanted to get tattoos where the eagle's wings were prominent.
Yeah.
And because it tells a story of what we had gone through, but how the Lord was faithful and strengthened us even through a very difficult season.
Yeah.
So powerful, yeah.
Yeah.
And Shan, you and Kev are amazing at using your tattoos, not as a sign of rebellion, but actually a sign of redemption, a milestone of, man, this happened, even if it was really dark, but this is what God redeemed. So just give a little bit of a glimpse into the darkness and the redemption of that moment signified by the eagle tattoo.
Yeah, so I have this one, and
It's beautiful.
2017, I was at work, and there was a shooting, and unfortunately, one of my guests was shot in the head and shot in the side, and I was the first responder to him, and I was taking care of him, and then ran up to take care of my team, and as I ran back down, he passed away, and it was absolutely devastating, and I just didn't know why I was there or why God would do that to me. But in that moment and in that year of 2017, like Kev said, he renewed us, and my wings are closed because God kept me in that moment. He absolutely in 2017 showed me that he was a rescuer for me, and I've never seen him as a rescuer. I've seen him as a father, a coach, so many things, but he was a rescuer. So he holds me close in these wings. That's what my wings are closed for, because he is that rescuer that kept me in one of the darkest moments of my time.
Amazing.
Wow, so good. I think that each of your tattoos probably have amazing stories behind it. One of the things I love just about you guys as a couple is that you're intentional with your life, including your tattoos. Can you share a little bit about how you've used tattoos to go on mission?
Yeah. So for me, I was very intentional with the shop that I chose and the artist that I chose in regards to my tattoos as I carried on getting tattoos. And there was a shop that I'd always gone to, actually for 25, 30 years, called Classic Tattoo in Fullerton.
Oh, okay.
I knew the owner before he passed away 25 years ago.
In downtown, right?
Downtown,
Yeah.
off of Harbor, yeah.
First tattoo shop in Fullerton.
Yeah.
Wow.
Original.
And so then some of my friends had received or had gotten tattoos from this guy named John who worked at Classic Tattoo, and I absolutely loved his work.
He's a legend.
He is a legend, and so I just reached out to John and connected with him. Just told him, hey, we have some friends in common. I'm looking now to get some sleeves, and I'd love for you to do that. So would you mind working on me? And it was very intentional because I wanted to connect with this guy. I heard a lot about him as we had mutual friends. And I know for me, sitting in a tattoo chair, it gives me an opportunity to just share life with people. You're there for 4, 5, 6 hours sometimes, and you have an opportunity. Nobody's going anywhere. The tattoo artist isn't going anywhere, and you're not going anywhere. And you have an opportunity to share life.
Funny, he's a gracious guy, because the first tattoo I got, I don't have as many. I've got 3 tattoos, but the first one was like, okay, I'm going to start with a little wedding ring. I went down with my friend, and so here's this guy who's like just covered with tattoos, great tattoos, and he's like, okay, I've got, what do you want to do? I'm like, just a little wedding ring, and he's just like, oh, okay. He was just kind and gracious and did a wedding ring. Anyway, he's gifted, but also super gracious.
Yeah.
I got mine off of Amazon.
I don't know if he'd be quite as gracious
Yeah.
about those, Dan. Yeah.
I can see that you got those off of Amazon.
And it took 2 days
yeah.
via Prime shipping.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fantastic.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Really committed.
That's right. So, actually, speaking of being on mission and talking about Classic Tattoo and our friend John, I want to actually ask Shan to go grab our surprise guest.
Oh, yeah.
Hey!
What's up, John?
There he is. How are you guys? Welcome.
Welcome, buddy. Welcome, buddy. You
you
remember
doing?
to say some of your best art. Some of
Yeah.
your best art ever, John.
Yeah.
Thank
This
you.
looks real
Thank you.
nice.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
man. Thanks.
John, have you noticed, like,
Appreciate it.
inside of his arm it says choppers? And,
yeah.
And on here, beloved.
Yeah.
You
Well,
are beloved, Dan.
I can only picture Dan on a chopper with some ape hangers. That would be amazing.
in Thailand. Never
Yeah.
mind. I'm not gonna even. Cool. Well, welcome, John. So
Thank you.
glad to have you. It's seriously a privilege that you get we get to hang with you today and kind of chat with you. So before we kind of get into obviously the tattoo piece, I would love to hear just about you and kind of your background and kind of what led up to how tattoos have just become such an important part of your life.
Sure. I got tattooed when I was really young. I got in trouble for that, but I fell in love with tattooing right away.
Did
and
you
just-
start on the on
On the eyelid.
Most definitely not.
That's not the place to start.
But, but yeah, just always pursued it for as long as I can remember, and it's been really good. It's been great.
Who's one of the first guys to tattoo you?
My current boss.
Yeah.
His name's Tim Hendricks. He's
Unbelievable.
insanely talented guy and super nice. Yeah, he tattooed me way back when.
I saw
Wow.
him last time I was there tattoo your wife's arm with the
Oh,
most
that's-
beautiful picture of Jesus' face.
That's
I've
right.
Unbelievable,
That's right.
And then the next guy to come in was a guy tattooed all over his head. And I'm like, okay, he's going to go from Jesus' face to what? And the guy was like, I want 2 devil's horns here. I was just
Yeah.
like, wow, what a life of an
Yeah.
artist. You go from that to that, and you kind of just got to go with what people want, right?
Yeah. Well,
Most of the time.
you don't have to, but yeah. That was.
You say no?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah. I mean, not everybody comes up with anything like terrible that I wouldn't want to do, but it happens, and
So
you
what
just
was the
pass it on.
what's been the weirdest one that you've been asked to do that you have actually done?
Something that stands out in my mind always is a customer of mine that I've done a lot of tattoos on. I don't know, maybe about 10, 11 years ago, he asked me to do. He was born with a finger that had like it was a little weird. It had like no nail and like just a little rounded skin.
Yeah.
It was just like a short.
Like ET.
Yeah,
Like,
but a lot
like phone home.
a lot shorter than that. But he asked me to do a smiley face on the end of it, and just a little, just like the standard little smiley face. So
Like an emoji.
yeah, pretty much. Way before that
Way
was
before
a thing.
emojis,
But
He was
yeah,
the original
we
emoji.
did that, and it was just always stood out to me as kind of the funniest, weirdest thing.
Yeah.
How big was that? No, you know what? Never
Small.
mind. Yeah.
Small.
Yeah,
Like Alan's first tattoo.
that's good though.
That's awesome, man. So you're a Fullerton native, huh? Okay. So born and raised, went to our high schools and everything.
Fullerton High School, yeah.
Yeah, now over at Classic. That's great. So tell us a little bit how you connected with Kevin and Shannon Misch, and just how that kind of transpired. And
Well, when Kevin reached out about getting tattooed, we found out right away that we had a ton of people in common.
Oh,
a
wow.
lot of people also just from this church. So that was really interesting, and it kind of made us like instant friends, and because we felt like we known each other for a million years.
Yeah.
So we hit it off right away.
Yeah.
and so, I mean, I guess my question is, how does it go from like inside the shop, right? Because that's what you kind of meant to do.
That's where we first met. Yeah.
Right. To where did it get to a point where it moved outside of that, where it became a real friendship?
He had mentioned immediately that he was a pastor, and we had plenty of conversation about that. And my wife and I were going to a really large church, really, really large church,
Okay.
and we wanted to visit his church, like, and watch him do his thing and meet people and all that stuff. And it became. It went from being lost in a big crowd to a lot of personal relationships, like
Yeah.
right away. So
Yeah.
it's really good.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I remember you saying, Kev actually said, no, well, find out from your pastor, before you visit. He didn't want to kind of sheep steal, and you said, well, I don't know
We don't
who the
talk.
pastor is.
Yeah, I
Slip
mean,
in and out, slip in and
yeah,
out. So
it was
it's
a-
been a new experience for you,
Yeah.
coming into a much smaller church where it's like, if you're not there, you get noticed.
Right. Well, yeah. The first time after the first time we went to Southlands Whittier, I think we never stopped. I think we were there every time
Yep.
since.
Wow.
Yep.
Period. And if we do miss a day for whatever reason, I usually send them a text in the morning and be like, I'm sick, I can't make it, or whatever. I'll talk to you, just because that's really special.
It's so interesting. John is like one of the only people at Southlands Whittier, if they're not going to be there on Sunday, sends me a text.
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
fantastic. And the great thing about John is from day one, I just said, you're sitting in the front row with me. And so John is in the front row Sunday after Sunday with his wife. And they've been an incredible blessing to our church.
How's your faith deepened through your friendship with Kev?
Well, I've noticed that right away that him and his wife Shannon, they're really generous with their time, and we've tried to kind of do that as well as best we can, because time is something that's kind of precious, and we don't always have extra. So to give that is really meaningful, and also just talking to people, at work, and just kind of just throwing church into the conversation. It's really easy. Somebody will ask you what you're doing that weekend.
Yeah.
You can say, well, going to church, hanging out with family, whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
And then that can lead into either them saying, like, oh, I go to church too, or I used to go to church, and then, so it kind of opens some doors to conversation like that.
Is that weird for you, or is that
Not
comfortable, or-
No, it's not weird. I didn't used to consciously make an effort or think about it too much, but in the last year, since we've gotten to know Kevin and Shannon, it's sort of organically started coming up a little bit more. So it's just a good thing.
It's cool?
Amazing.
Very cool.
I know one of the things that Kev and Shannon are great at, as we dear friends, is they don't just share their strengths, they share their weaknesses. And I think there's a perception often that pastors kind of have it all together.
Yeah.
But I know Kevin and Shannon have shared their struggles with their marriage and how
Yeah.
God has helped them. And so how has that enabled you to kind of open up about your struggles and take some steps forward?
Well, yeah, they do. They're kind of open books, and I don't know that necessarily I'm quite that way yet, but it's definitely helped us to bond and talk about all kinds of stuff. So it's been good.
One of the great things after the very first time that,
Yeah.
that John and I sat together at Classic Tattoo is he just reached out to me and said, "Hey, can we grab dinner?" You know, and the four of us grabbed dinner and had some great tacos out El Camino Real. Another shout out to a
Great.
local business.
Yeah.
And just chatted about life.
Yeah.
And had an opportunity to meet Jen, John's wife, for the first time.
Yeah.
And then Shannon gave us an opportunity, Shannon and I, to share with the two of them about some of our struggles, like Alan was talking
Right,
about.
right.
And just started to, I think from that moment on, Jesus just started to forge a relationship between the four of us that has carried on, obviously, well outside of
Yeah.
the tattoo parlor,
So good, man.
into the life of the church, but into our homes and able to share life together.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're talking about tattoos, but I really think it's the framework for what God is really stirring in our church, which is faith to take church outside the four walls of our church.
Yeah.
To share who we are to those out there. And I love the story of how you guys just honestly and openly pursued friendship and how that has led to deeper faith. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did you want to ask anything else or share anything else, Alan?
Just what you guys are saying as well, is kind of reminded me of this quote from a guy called Barry Corey, he's the president of Biola,
Right.
who wrote a book called Love Kindness, and he just talked about Christians needing a firm center but soft edges.
Yeah.
In other words, we know what we believe, but we're able to engage people in a way that's receivable, that's not overly confrontational, and we're intentional about going back in a spirit of humility and friendship. And he said this, he said, man, too often as Christians, we're known more for what we're against than for what we're for. And so, I mean, you might be against tattoos and, not wanting to do that, but my question would be like, so what are you for, and how can you engage those people in that place, whether it's a sports club, or whether it's a coffee shop, or whether it's a PTA, or whatever it is? What's
Yeah.
your area where you're going in with a firm center, you know what you believe, and you're bold with the gospel, but there's soft edges, there's a relational humility that makes you receivable, rather than having a firm center and hard edges too. And I think Kevin and Shan have been great at that in this particular world. And I would just be challenging myself and others, like, let's go back and go back and go back to our worlds with a firm center and soft edges.
Yeah, thank you for that great reminder. That's so good. John, Shannon, Kevin, thank you guys for joining us
So
today.
great, yeah. You're welcome.
Sharing
Glad
your
to have
story
you.
has been
Yeah.
so just encouraging.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, I want to encourage you to subscribe, share these stories. These are our stories about what God is doing with us. He is so good and kind.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. And Mom, don't worry, these come off. In case you're watching. See you guys later.
See ya. You are so
Okay, we're
fancy.
rolling.
Look at you. All right, I'm going to start that bad boy. Ready? Look
Yeah.
into the camera and smile, please, everybody.